November 15th, 1997. Windsor Castle. 3:15 a.m. Queen Elizabeth II sat alone in the cold stone corridor outside Philip's private chamber, still wearing her formal black dress from the state dinner hours earlier. Her hands trembled as she clutched a handkerchief embroidered with the royal crest. Inside that room, her husband of 50 years was dying. But what she didn't know was that Philip was about to confess a secret so devastating it would shatter everything she believed about duty, family, and Diana. The palace doctor emerged from Philip's room, his face grave. "Your Majesty," he whispered, "Prince Philip is asking for you. He says he needs to confess something. He keeps saying they paid us." Elizabeth felt her blood turn cold. The meeting that changed everything. 3:17 a.m., Philip's private chamber. Elizabeth pushed open the heavy oak door. The room smelled of lavender and antiseptic. Philip lay in their antique four-poster bed, the same bed where they had shared 50 years of marriage. His face was ghost-white against the burgundy silk pillows. "Elizabeth," he whispered, "lock the door. What I'm about to tell you, no one can ever hear. Not Charles, not the staff." Elizabeth's hands shook as she turned the ancient iron key. "Philip, what is this about?" "Sit down," he said. "This will take 6 hours, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just one secret. It's 50 years of lies. But wait, you haven't heard what Philip confessed first." 3:19 a.m. "Do you remember the night Diana died?" Philip began slowly. "August 31st, 1997, Paris." "Of course I remember," Elizabeth replied. Philip's eyes filled with tears. "They paid us, Elizabeth. They paid us £2 million to let it happen." Elizabeth felt the room spin. The crash wasn't an accident. We knew. And they paid us to look the other way. "Who paid you?" "The people who really run this country," Philip replied. "The ones who decided Diana was too dangerous, too popular. She was going to expose things about arms deals, about the Middle East, about us. Hold up." Philip's next words would destroy everything Elizabeth believed. 3:24 a.m. The financial arrangement. "In 1947, when we got engaged," Philip continued, "I was broke. Then they came to me, the consortium. They offered me a deal. Marry you, give you heirs, keep you under control. And in return, they would pay me £20,000 a year for 50 years. £1 million total. Our entire marriage was a business transaction," Elizabeth whispered. "It started as a job," Philip admitted. "They hired me to be your husband. But you're not ready for the real shock." What Philip revealed about Diana's final days. 3:31 a.m. In August 1997, Philip said, "They came to me again. They said Diana was planning to marry Dodi Fayed, that she was pregnant, that she was going to write a tell-all book. She had evidence," Philip confirmed. "Documents, photographs, recordings. So they asked me to help stop her." "Help them how?" "They wanted her security schedules, her travel plans. And they wanted me to convince you to reduce her security." Elizabeth remembered. Philip had suggested Diana's security was excessive. Elizabeth had agreed. They'd reduced Diana's security from 12 officers to 4. "Did you know they were going to kill her?" Elizabeth asked. Philip's silence was answer enough. "I helped murder Diana." Elizabeth felt tears burning. "You didn't know," Philip said. "But when you reduced her security, when you criticized her behavior, you made her vulnerable. Don't miss this detail, what Elizabeth discovered about her own role." 3:37 a.m., July 14th, 1997. Elizabeth had given an interview calling Diana's behavior erratic. 6 weeks later, Diana was dead. "They used me," Elizabeth whispered. "They used both of us," Philip replied. "But I knew and took the money anyway." This is where everything changes. 3:42 a.m. The list of victims. "Is Diana the only one?" Elizabeth asked. "No," Philip said. "Do you remember Princess Margaret's first love, Peter Townsend?" The real reason I convinced you to forbid their marriage was that Townsend was asking questions about palace finances. They paid me £50,000. Margaret drank herself to death because of a broken heart. And there were others. Lord Mountbatten's death wasn't the IRA. They paid me to tip off his location. How many people died because of you? Elizabeth whispered. 7, Philip said. Maybe 8. But wait, Philip wasn't done. 3:49 a.m. The truth about Charles. Does Charles know? Elizabeth asked. Charles has his own arrangement, Philip replied. They've been paying him since 1981. Why? To keep him controllable. To ensure when he becomes king, he'll remember who holds the power. How much? £200,000 a year, Philip said. After Diana's death, they increased it to £500,000. Charles took money to betray Diana. He didn't know they were planning to kill her, Philip said. He just thought they were paying him to keep her behavior in check. But after she died, he suspected. You're not going to believe what Philip said about William and Harry. 3:55 a.m. The next generation. Do William and Harry know? Elizabeth asked. Not yet, Philip said. But the consortium approached William 3 months ago. They offered him £5 million. William told them to go to hell. Good, Elizabeth whispered. That's why I'm telling you this, Philip said. Because William refused them. They're going to come after him. Like they came after Diana. You need to protect him. How? You tell the truth. Even if it means destroying the monarchy? Sometimes the only way to save something is to let it burn and rebuild. Don't miss this revelation. Philip's final confession about the money. 4:02 a.m. How much money in total? Elizabeth asked. About £8 million, Philip said, all in Swiss accounts. Account number 7734-9821-3365 at Credit Suisse, Geneva. Password is Margaret1947. He named it after the woman whose life he'd destroyed. Give it away, Philip said. To Diana's charities. Make some good come from this evil. This is where everything comes together. 4:09 a.m. Philip's breathing was getting worse. Elizabeth, he gasped, promise me you'll protect William. Promise me you'll expose the consortium. Even if it destroys me. Even if history remembers me as the queen who brought down the monarchy. Better to be remembered as the queen who told the truth, Philip said, than the queen who protected lies. I promise, Elizabeth said. I'll expose them. All of them. Philip's face relaxed. Thank you. But you're not ready for what Philip said next. 4:14 a.m. The last secret. There's one more thing, Philip whispered. The consortium has someone inside the palace. Someone close to you. Someone you trust. Who? Philip's eyes started to close. Who is it, Philip? But Philip was fading. The machines alarmed. The doctor burst through the locked door. Your Majesty, step back. Philip, Elizabeth shouted. Who is it? Philip's lips moved. Elizabeth put her ear close. It's, Philip breathed. And then his heart stopped. Here's the most devastating part. What happened after Philip died? 4:17 a.m. The medical team worked for 18 minutes, but Philip was gone. He died with the secret still on his lips. Who was the spy? As the doctor called time of death at 4:35 a.m., Elizabeth looked around. The head butler, the private secretary, the physician, her lady-in-waiting. Which one was the traitor? The truth. 5 a.m. Elizabeth sat alone in Philip's chamber. For 6 hours he had confessed 50 years of corruption and murder. Now she faced an impossible choice. Expose the consortium and destroy the monarchy. Or keep the secret, knowing it might cost William his life. Elizabeth found Philip's private journal. The last entry, November 14th. If you are reading this, he had written, it means I told you the truth. I'm sorry for every lie, every betrayal, every death, but most of all, I'm sorry for making you choose between duty to the crown and duty to truth. Choose truth, even if it destroys us both. Elizabeth closed the journal. Somewhere in the palace, the spy was making a phone call. The consortium knew. They had always known. Don't miss what Queen Elizabeth discovered in Philip's desk. 6 a.m. The hidden files. Elizabeth searched Philip's desk. In the bottom drawer, she found a locked metal box. Inside were files, dozens of them. Diana Spencer, 1997. Lord Mountbatten, 1979. Princess Margaret, 1955. Each file contained evidence, bank statements showing payments, photographs of secret meetings. Philip had kept everything. He had always planned to confess. She opened the Diana file. A photograph dated August 30th, 1997. One day before Diana's death. Philip shaking hands with a man in an expensive suit. On the back, final payment received. £2 million. May God forgive me. There was also a list of consortium members. 12 names, British nobles, wealthy businessmen, a former prime minister, foreign names, Middle Eastern, American, Russian. You're not going to believe who else was on that list. 6:15 a.m., the impossible name. Elizabeth's hand shook as she read the list. Then she saw it. Charles Windsor, Prince of Wales, member since 1981. Her son wasn't just taking money. He was one of them. She opened Charles's file. Records of meetings, decisions, votes. Charles had voted to reduce Diana's security. Charles had voted to approve surveillance of Diana's calls. Charles had voted to take action against Diana. He hadn't just known about the plan. He had helped plan it. This is where everything changes. What Queen Elizabeth decided to do. 6:30 a.m. Elizabeth found paper and pen. She began to write. To the British people. For 50 years, your royal family has been controlled by a criminal organization. They murdered Diana. My husband was paid millions. My son is a member. I am guilty by association. I am abdicating the throne. I am turning over all evidence. Diana deserves justice. Some secrets are too terrible to keep. God save Britain. Because God won't save us. Elizabeth R. She sealed the letter and gathered Philip's files. But wait, you haven't heard what stopped her. 6:45 a.m. As Elizabeth reached the door, it opened. Charles stood there in his pajamas. Hello, Mother, he said quietly. I was hoping we could talk before you do something irreversible. You know what's in these? Elizabeth held up the files. Philip called me last night, Charles said. He told me he was confessing. So you came to stop me? I came to give you the full picture, Charles replied. Because Philip only told you part. What part? The part where the consortium saved the monarchy, Charles said. Don't miss this revelation. 6:48 a.m. Charles's confession. Do you know what state the monarchy was in by 1997? Charles asked. Diana was more popular than all of us combined. She was planning to remarry a Muslim, move to America. The evidence she had could have destroyed Britain. So you killed her? We saved Britain, Charles corrected. Diana was exposing deals worth billions. She didn't understand consequences. So murder was necessary. Damage control was necessary, Charles replied. Diana's death prevented crisis. Her martyrdom strengthened monarchy. This is where everything comes together. 6:55 a.m. You've become a monster, Elizabeth said. I've become a king. Think about William and Harry. If you expose this, their father becomes a murderer. Elizabeth hesitated. And think about Britain. Chaos. Revolution. Is that what Diana wanted? Charles had planted doubt. What would truth accomplish? Justice or pain? You're not going to believe what Elizabeth did next. 7 a.m. Elizabeth walked to the fireplace. 50 years of evidence that could bring down the monarchy and give Diana justice, but would also destroy William and Harry's father. End the institution she dedicated her life to. She thought about Philip's last words. Choose truth. She thought about Diana. She thought about William, who refused the money. She thought about all the lives destroyed by secrets, and then she made her choice. Elizabeth threw the files into the fireplace. No, Charles shouted, but Elizabeth had matches. She lit one and dropped it. The papers caught fire. "Mother, what are you doing?" "I'm protecting my grandsons," Elizabeth said. "I'm choosing their future over Diana's justice." Philip wanted truth exposed, but Philip was a coward and murderer. Why honor his wish? The files burned. 50 years of evidence turning to ash. "You made the right choice," Charles said. "Did I?" Elizabeth asked. "Or did I choose the comfortable lie over dangerous truth?" "Both," Charles admitted. "Sometimes they're the same." Here's the most heartbreaking part. 7:05 a.m. When the files burned, Elizabeth returned to Philip's desk. She picked up the abdication letter that confessed everything. She looked at Charles. His eyes pleaded. Elizabeth threw it into the flames. It burned. "I'll announce Philip's death," Elizabeth said. "Natural causes. Peaceful. What about the 8 million? "Give it to Diana's charities," Elizabeth said. "Anonymously. It won't bring her back." "No, but it's all I can offer." They stood in silence. Both chose corruption over truth. Both knew Diana's death would remain an accident. The truth. 7:15 a.m. At 7:30, Queen Elizabeth announced Prince Philip passed peacefully. The nation mourned. No one knew about the confession. No one knew about the consortium. The secret died with Philip, burned in the fireplace. William and Harry were told their grandfather died peacefully. Charles continued as Prince of Wales. The monarchy survived. The consortium continued. And Diana's murder remained officially an accident. Justice was never served. But the institution was protected. Queen Elizabeth would live with that choice forever. Philip's greatest tragedy wasn't his crimes. It was confessing to the one person who loved the monarchy more than truth. Some secrets are too terrible to expose. Some institutions too important to destroy. Some lies more comfortable than truth. Queen Elizabeth chose silence. And Diana's real story died that morning in the fireplace, along with any chance of justice. Sometimes loyalty to the crown means betraying everything else, even the truth.